Did you happen to get a EIDL loan last year as a small business owner? This is Wysocarski at Beach House Consulting, and if you were fortunate enough to get an economic injury disaster loan, you might have gotten an amount, say $10,000. And if you were using it towards the applicable costs that you could say, okay, these are definitely business expenses that made sense to help out your business or get you through a tough time, you could absolutely use that money. But what if you found out that you got this $10,000 and you couldn't find any expenses that made sense for your business, and you're sitting on this $10,000 or maybe $9,500 worth? And yeah, sure, it's a rainy day fund, but did you know that they deferred the payment but not the interest? So let's just suppose that you bought into this last year, you got the loan, you got the $10,000, and it was in your bank account in a flash, and maybe it just felt good to have some money there in case something really bad happened. You might figure it out. Now the reality of it is that you can't use it just to stick in your pocket and go buy stuff. You can't go buy groceries with it, and you can't pay for your own house with it, but it can be used for things like payroll or office expenses or any expenses directly related to the business or the growth of it, perhaps based on economic injury during that disaster time. That $10,000 is accruing interest every day, and at the interest rates that were prevailing, it's about $1 a day. I was told $1.03 a day is a pretty good number to use. So if you've had this money for about a year, $365 times $1.03, that's interest that you owe that's been accruing. So let's suppose that you wanted to pay this off, and you've tried to call up and you're not getting a response, and you kick the can down the road, and you still haven't paid it off, and a couple of months went by because you're frustrated and can't get through to them. You have another $30 or so interest every month that's accruing. I can tell you from personal experience that I was able to lock into one of these in one of my businesses. The problem is that there was no way I could use the money for any intended purpose within the business to match up with the guidelines, and I didn't want to cross over those guidelines and put myself in a tough situation. So I was able to finally reach someone this week to learn how to pay it back, and I'll just call it this. You know, it was a nice insurance policy to have it there if the business needed it. Spoke to my CPA, like, Ron, just pay it back. Don't spend money for the sake of spending it, because you still got to pay it back, and the interest, the meter's running. It cost about $400 in interest to pay back the $10,000 that I never used. I'm glad that I had it. It was there. I learned a lesson out of it. You know, never apply for something that you don't need. And last year, I just wasn't sure. But now that I understand the process, there is a way to pay it back through the government SBA site. And if you need more information about this, message below, and I'll get the message information to you privately, how to pay that back. They do an ACH, and I'll tell you what, I mean, it was paid back the very same day, and to stop the interest, you might have to pay one extra day of interest, an extra $1 to cover it. But it got closed out pretty quickly. So if you have an economic injury, disaster loan, EIDL, and you're not using it, pay it back, or pay a portion back to slow down the rate of interest on it. It's an expensive thing to pay $1 a day in interest for something that you're not losing. So we're always here to help you get the most out of your business. And remember, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. So if you have interest being paid for no good reason, maybe pay it off. This is Wysocarski for Beach House Consulting.